with you in a moment. Just get out the shower. Where two or more gather in my name, behold, I'm there in the midst of them. I believe in one God. We gather in the name of the Most High God, no matter where we are, who we're with, what we're going to do. It likely will not be anything like church, but I love the Lord and I want to acknowledge Him before we start. Thank you, Lord, for treating me well, much better than I deserve, and for clarifying and clearing up some things. I appreciate it. I hear you. I understand a lot of things that I didn't before. I appreciate it. I'm basically play the sample up and play. I got a string for my guitar and then I broke it. I just got one. Then I broke it the same day. That's how I wasn't playing guitar. Mm. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna listen to an old song, maybe to let me get away with it. See if I still like it as much as I used to. It's been quite a while.
This brilliant
Turn up on me, I'm gonna turn that ad down. Getting faster on the dang draw. He shouldn't have got that much in, but I'm tired. I was up all night, wet and getting dressed. So. For my fallen angel friends. If that's what you call them. I think you call it a friend. I ain't sure. Yeah, I know I've only had one legit friend for real in life. It's the Most High Almighty. But I think you call it a friend. I think they're passed for a friend. For the bar, those folks that on earth. You know what I mean? Fuck each other, old lady, lie to each other, whatever, talk shit behind each other's back, plot, scheme, scam, wage holy war on whatever, murder each other's family, all that stuff. You pretty much think that qualifies as a friend on planet Earth.
Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A dragon lives forever, but not so little boys. Painted wings and giant's rings make way for other toys. One gray night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more. And Puff, that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Puff no longer went to play along the cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave. So Puff, that mighty dragon, sadly slipped into his cave. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Up the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu.
It's alright. It's been a while. I loved it as a kid. But now I'm like, dang, we need to do we probably already have. I'm always late. But like a Celtic acoustic, the open tuning version that's more rock and roll, blues or something. I can't believe whoever cooked up Click and all that stuff. It must be somebody who don't know me well. I've been thinking about it, and it's like, I guess they thought I'd BSing, and I said I knew about the Bible. I guess they didn't think I really read it or something. The locusts have been here. Locusts have been here. They should go through a lot of trouble for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Thinking I'm gonna be scared of the locusts. I'm scared of God's judgment sometimes because I play too much. But you know what I'm saying? I've been knowing about the locusts. I think they're cool. Thanks to Bean. Appreciate it, Bean. That's one thing as far as spiritual stuff you really help with. I didn't know about the locusts until you. You was the person that got me hip to that. Listen to Jam or something. I'm gonna talk some more. Raw, I wanted to tell you, man, a friend of mine yesterday, he's spiritual, he believes, and he's a deep thinker. He's a spiritual person, but he's not like, you wouldn't know it unless you really knew him, and and he don't talk much. You'd have to really, I've known him for years and didn't even realize he was spiritual until just a few years ago when he started talking to me about it. So you wouldn't really know it. But he said, he was talking about pyramids and stuff. He said, he said, what do you think about this? He said, well, what if the pyramids is like under the pyramids and stuff? He's like, portal to, and he brought it up. I didn't even bring it up, but I guess he's been watching my channel or something. He's like, what do you think about this? Do you think the pyramids are a portal to another dimension? He's like, or maybe under the pyramids, there's portals to other dimensions. And he's kind of like a stoner as far as like way he talks. You'd think he was stoned. Like, you can't tell if he's joking or he's serious. If you know him, you understand. But if you don't, you would have just thought he was having a stone moment, like he was being retarded. But he was thinking real deep. He was like, yo, what under the pyramid, what are they, the portal to other dimensions, bro? I told him, I said, I think there are, bro. And I really do. I believe that. We're in a different dimension now. I don't know exactly where, but we're in some other dimension now than the one I was originally in. But I don't really, I've never really gave it enough thought to try to clarify which or why or when we changed. I don't know. Then Jam, I'm just plugging my stuff up and getting dressed. I took me a long bike ride yesterday. Trying to clear my head. It went well. I ain't got the strength I used to. I still gotta get away from these folks who tired of being treated bad, but I'm making me a little plan, putting together, and I'm done with this stuff. I can't believe Fake is still continuing all this stuff. It's obvious that like he makes that for me. Why is he still doing that? We're not watching it. And like, so that's their policy. That's how they try to take your like whatever you get from God, whatever you inherit. That's how they try to take it or something. What, scare you off of it or drive you out or try to see if you know the word or what? I don't understand what his motive is. If he's trying to throw me off, he's gonna have to come a lot harder than that. And how foolish can you be? When I showed him videos of the locusts and stuff and told him he could post it, send it to his private Facebook and everything, and he ain't even posted them. And I gave him the best proof he's got. It just shows he's BSing because I seen him proof to his little email that was attached that they was already here a long time ago, and he ain't posted none of it. So what's the point? It's obviously set or something. It's irritating. I don't even understand what he's trying to do. It's been revealed to me that LA is not as, at least in my opinion, it's not as bad as everybody's trying to paint it. I believe they're my angels for real because they were showing me, revealing a lot of things. If it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't have realized what I was doing wrong in the eyes of the Lord or where I was in bad standings. I think that they were helping me. They may not have known it, but LA was really helping me by bringing some of those things to my attention. In movies like Shooter or The Secret Window, I mean, stuff like that. I think they were, you know what I'm saying, helping me. That I was like the devil and the demon, and they was helping me to wake up, snap out of it, whether they realized it or not. They were angels. If it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't have realized my calling at all or what I should do to get right with the Lord. I was just sinking. So thank you, LA. Appreciate it. Lady Gaga, Madonna, Maynard, Jack Black, Johnny Depp, Tom Cruise, thank you very much. There's a lot more. I'm gonna have to make a list. There's just a couple that come to mind right away. I just saw a Gaga commercial yesterday. Got a kick out of it. It's like Dom Perignon or something. Just in the gym. I miss Lee. I wish Lee would get in touch with me. I know he's still around. He's obviously some kind of official. I don't know what. He ain't never told me, but maybe I'll hear from him soon. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, well. Mm-hmm. Snoop Dogg saying Snoop. Long Thug. Who else we got? Ice Cube. Wu-Tang. Well, AI, guys. Yeah. Yeah, boy. All right, let's see if we can plug this up. I've been making some new songs, and we'll see. We may listen in there, and we may just write it in with the scratch. We'll see. Hey, there we go. My dang adapter, there it is. All right, God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just a second. Let me get a drink. Mm-hmm. Horning on me. Well, it didn't sting me, it a big one too. Lord, I pray that you would be with me, that you would illuminate the areas of my life that are still confusing, that I'm able to make heads or tails of. Reveal to me what your plan is for me next. And I know I'm done with that chapter. I'm anxious to start again, but I'm not sure where to start. I'm not sure about my devices and the blacklist. I'm not sure about this hazing and the initiation ritual and whatever has been going on for so many years. I don't know what you where to start. And I don't want to do anything that's fruitless or swim upstream anymore. And I accomplished my personal goals. Now I want to honor you by moving on in life. And I need you to reveal your plan for me, at least to a certain extent. If you will, please. Appreciate it. I got to get away from these people. They're so far off the map, I don't know where to begin. We're going to make us a plan over in the next hour or so, write some things down. guess the ones I've been working on the last 2 days. Most of them are sampled. I didn't start to scratch on a couple of them. Yes, man. I got them lined up. That amp is only mono. I ain't got stereo in there. So bear with me. I don't like that reverb damp, so it's like something else to do. Cigarette, and we'll see what we can do for the Lord. I was going to listen I'm trying not to be ungrateful, but that's good. I can vibe with that right now. What I'm thinking about, if you care to know, is Zach Wild, The Book of Shadows. When I first heard that, somebody let me hear it. That's when they started trying to clue me into all this stuff that, like, because I never felt like I was that important, but I am that. I had to learn that I am that important to God. So I didn't think anything I did was that it was really that big a deal to anybody, because I was mistreated by my own family and stuff. So I didn't never think that anything about the realm or about the world or anybody I met would have anything to do with me. I just never imagined that. It's still hard for me to imagine that anybody does anything based on me, because I have never really even been real close with anybody. I tried to be, but I wasn't very good at it. So I never imagined that anybody did anything based on me. I was surprised that I got the few views and subscribers that I did on my channel. That's how little I, you know, been used to affecting anybody. Surely I knew that there was no being in existence that existed because of my child. And even that was also because of. I just never imagined that any of this stuff that I was seeing had anything to do with me. So it's hard for me to imagine that. But then I had a friend let me hear years ago when Sasha was still alive. Let me hear, and I believe she still is, but I'm saying when she was alive in the flesh. One of her friends, Lance, I met through her roommate Hugh, who had my last name. It's Yahweh's middle initials, HW, Hugh Watts. He reminded me of me, and he had my name. He was like an old version of me. He wasn't old, but he was like twice my age. And he was real cool, and he wasn't going to treat her like a, you know what I mean, like a charity case or anything. So she was going to stay with him. She stayed with him a little while. And Lance was the guy that played violin and other instruments, guitar. He had really great taste. And he was jamming with Hugh, and he was good friends with Sasha too. I don't know if he was when she first started living there, but eventually they became pretty good friends, and me and Lance too. And Lance, I remember how he looked at me when he let me hear Zach Wild, Book of Shadows. He was looking at me like, "Yeah, mm-hmm. That's a good album right there. Like, you really check that out." And he was looking at me like, "That's what this is, like the universe." He didn't say it, but he just looked at me, and I saw it in his eyes. He was like, "Book of Shadows, like that's what you need to check out right there." I remember looking at him like I'm not a big Black Label Society fan. Like, I think they're cool and everything, but it's just not my cup of tea. He was like, "Nah, you need to check that out though." I was like, "I'm not a big Black Label Society fan, man. Like, I think they're cool, but I'm just not really into it." He was like, "Nah, that's different. You need to check that out though, that Book of Shadows. That's different." I was like, "Okay, man, listen to it." It was actually a really good album. And I looked at him every once in a while while we was listening to it, and Lance would be like raising his eyebrow, looking at me like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you understand? I didn't understand, but I was definitely like, I think I'm starting to understand. I think I'm starting to understand. But me being weird, it's hard for me. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for somebody to shadow me or mimic me. I wouldn't see why anybody would want to. But that's what what I'm getting at is that's what Click and a lot of people try to imply, that besides you, all of this in the realm is a bunch of shadows of you. Like I'm scared of my own shadow. If that was the case, then why would I be scared of my own shadow? It doesn't make sense. Also, God's been revealing to me that, like the giants of the Bible, when it talks about Nephilim and fallen angels, a lot of times you won't even see them. God's revealed to me that these principalities that are giants that run areas, and that in a certain area, I don't know if it's the case everywhere, but in my little area, you know what I'm saying, you'll encounter the same spirit in different people. Like majority of people in these rural areas are like giant, and they are like you're seeing a different person. They look like this and they look like that, or they act like this, they act like that. But it's one big spirit will operate many bodies, and run an area. A principality will run an area, and then everybody's like if they're keeping over the Joneses, or they're following the crowd, or whatever, or they're trying to impress folks, or what have you, fill in the blank. People wind up with the same spirit occupying their body, and that's why you get the same kind of reactions here and there and down the road. I've started to realize that you have a little bit of difference in personality from one to the next, but for the most part, you're dealing in certain areas. You're dealing with the same spirit, no matter who you're interacting with. It just looks different. I started to realize that. I started to realize the ones that run my area. And it'll be the different people, but the same spirit in a bunch of different bodies. That's another thing I don't understand. It's like me being as little as I am, and it's like peaceful as I am, and just artsy fartsy, you know what I'm saying? Like to read and make music and stuff. I don't understand why a fallen angel, a big giant fallen angel, would want to battle me. But then I started to realize it's because when you stand out, stick out like a sore thumb. When you go your own way, or when you promote Christ or whatever, you cause problems for them. They want to just squish you like a bug. They're bullies. Some of them aren't as bad as others, but a lot of them are just bullies. And if you're standing out of the crowd or sticking out like a sore thumb, they'll punish you. I like the one that I'm friends with. I don't like things he does all the time, but I like him. I love him actually. But I don't like a lot of the things he does. But I don't judge him. But I mean, just being honest, and sometimes he bothers me and stuff. But I like him a lot. Admire him. Do I agree with him on everything? No. But I like him. What I like the most about him is, besides personally, I'm gonna keep his personal business myself. But what I like the most about him is just an opportunity for me to show the love of God and to prove that my God is real, no matter where we are or who we're with. Crow outside a big one. I've been seeing the biggest crows ever. Like that I've ever seen in my life out here lately. Big ones, right here swooping by my house, like right there on the ground. And I've been feeding them. Big ones. I'm talking giant. Never seen crows so big. That's a warning in Native American culture. It's a warning, but it's also an omen. Like it can be an omen of death. It can be a warning. It can be. It's just a heads up when you see a crow. It's just a heads up. Like either I see you or you should see me. One. I ain't scared of crows. I think they're awesome. I like crows. Some folks don't. They think they're nasty, but I like crows because they're Edgar Allan Poe mainly. That's why it don't make any sense to me. People being freaked out by a shadow realm or something. We're all shadows of the Most High. That's what it means to be kind of like dead already when you're born. That's what it means to need Christ to resurrect you from the dead, because you're born dead. Because we all are like inside the Most High, and He makes from within Himself, and so He has to create with like dead parts of Himself or living parts that He chooses life in a sense until you can reconnect with Christ. Everybody, every being, no matter what kind of species or animal or anything, is just a shadow of the Most High, like a little mini shadow, just like a little cartoon shadow version of the Most High, and like a little dang homie you get out the store. And so when you connect with Christ, you reconnect with that life that puts you back in the body. Otherwise, we're all just shadows, not shadows of me or shadows of you, but shadows of the Most High. Like He makes little shadow versions of Himself, like a finger or a thumb. That's what it means, knucklehead. When they call you a knucklehead, it means you don't even realize that you're just a one finger on a fallen angel or something. Yeah, knucklehead. Which it means you think you're a bad eye, but you really ain't. You're part of a hand of a being, like a demonic being you can't even see. Click, knucklehead. Ain't knucklehead. That's what that means. Knuckleheads. Let's see what's on here. Let's see what's on my subscription feed right now. So I thought we was making a COVID, Satan. This video is boring. When's it coming out in theaters? I'll go watch it. You can be my date, you know what I'm saying? I've been really mistreated by a so-called fam this last week or so. I ain't gonna get into it right now, but it's been crazy. I'm about to get fed up with the BS. Andy's pussy whip and does whatever Marla tells him, and she constantly lies and just sends stuff to him. I send it to her, just shits and giggles. When she wants it to ammo, I give her ammo. She sends it to him. He just believes the bullshit. He come talk to me. You know, I was sitting out there working in my yard cleaning up, and yeah, I ain't. I ain't putting up with this much longer. Tired of the bullshit. Thinking about riding over and seeing James. Clint, if you're watching this, man, I'm sure you're not. It's on this other channel, but if you wind up hearing this, come see me if you will, bro. I want to ride my bike to see you, but I couldn't find that paper where I wrote down your number. And you're like my only friend out here. I'm finna go see you in sometime this week. If I don't hear from you, just want to talk to you real quick. Come get some cigarettes or something and let me holler at you. If you will, I appreciate it. I guess I'm supposed to be Tom Riddle or something. That he becomes Voldemort. I don't know. There's a gray bird on the wire. What's up, bird? I would put food out there so they would come. And my heart's kind of heavy because I saw Chris Whitehead's little niece at TJ's yesterday. She was playing with TJ's daughter. It's a girl I had never seen before. She came in with a skateboard, and I recognized the skateboard. And that bird come closer. You know Chris Whitehead? Whitey, Dooney, you know him? Red-headed dude. Glasses. Bluetooth. Like an alien or something. If they passed away, I ain't buying it. The bird come up here. He said, you seen Dooney? Total geek. Redhead. Likes eclipses. Mama named Patsy. Sister's a total bitch. You know who I'm talking about? You seen him? I thought so. Yeah, I figured he was still around somewhere. Anyway, his little niece come in and had a skateboard, and it was Whitey's skateboard. So we took him to the park to skate and to play or whatever, and they started, like me being like I am today, not real playful, he was just chilling. They started hitting me with pine cones and wanted to play tag. I didn't want to mingle with a little girl. They was real young, but they was like just at the age where they started to come of age. I didn't want to be the only boy out there playing with them. I was just sitting with TJ, but they was begging me to play. They wanted to play, bro. They want to play tag and all kind of stuff. I was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna sit here with TJ. I said, you know what I mean? Like, y'all go ahead. But then they started ganging up on me and hitting me with dang pine cones. And a couple times it hurt pretty good. And then it's real close and they throw them hard as they could. So I was catching these pine cones. I jumped up and I started to tell her, I was like, okay, y'all want to play? Let's skateboard. You know what I'm saying? We'll take turns on the skateboard. I just ran and jumped on the board. Hell on earth, boy. I should not have jumped on Whitey's skateboard because that was why he had left her his skateboard when he passed away. Something like that. You know, I recognized it, so I jumped on it before with Whitey. I just saw it sitting there on this sidewalk. I just jumped on it, did a little trick. Well, she had a fit because it was his skateboard. Ruined their whole playtime and everything. They was hitting me with pine cones and stuff. I was just trying to find something to play that I could do. So I jumped on the board. But I didn't realize she was like really, really sentimental about it. It's sweet. She loved Whitey. But she was mean to me, boy, after that. Said all kind of really horrible things that like a kid shouldn't say. But I just let it, you know what I'm saying, brush it off because I knew she was upset because Whitey passed. And Whitey always had a mouth like that too. So she take after him a little bit. She was talking mad shit, bro. Little bitty girl. I should not have jumped on your skateboard, bro. I didn't realize it was like what he left her or something. Just skateboard, you know, it was all tore up. I mean, hell, I just jumped on and did a little trick. But she was mad about that. I'm seeing beats on here like Drown and stuff. See what I'm saying? There's like a little playlist called Drown, DROWN. Why would you name your creative project something like that? And who are you talking to? I don't know anything about devices and stuff. I gotta before I try to move and do all this stuff. I gotta make sure my IP ain't still blacklisted. Get in touch with Caleb or something so he can look at it for me. God, quit messing with me, man. You think fallen angels should have something better to do than mess with a little guy like me, dude? I'm not gonna bow. You're just wasting your time. The page just refreshed. I didn't do that, so let's see. Maybe he's mad. I don't know. I don't know. I said I wasn't gonna bow. I'm not bowing, bro. I believe in the Most High Almighty. Not the stuff y'all made up. You know what I'm saying? Call him whatever you will. I know my God. And it's not the storm God, ball, or not dang this or that. I know my God. Source of everything. I thought about riding out to Marks and Roberts, but I didn't want to show up without contacting them. And it was like twice as far as I wound up going yesterday. But last I talked to Mark, he said Robert's still around. I'd like to see them. They're the best friend I ever had. The bird came back. Dang, I had a list of stuff I couldn't play, but it refreshed. Okay, we'll pop back up. Thank you.
Why did Jesus?
The one that I told y'all I know, you call him a giant or a Nephilim or whatever you want to call it. This is like a lot of our communication is somewhat telepathic, so I'm not putting words in his mouth, but this is who he led me to, like this, and based on my knowledge of him, I think this is the main guy he gets to speak for him on these topics. You know, saying some of them don't like to talk publicly, and some of them don't prefer to be seen and stuff. They have little speakers and people that kind of represent them, that are the face they put on their books or their, you know, our world is run by them, and they will use like a particular figurehead to kind of represent them. This Michael Heiser guy, or I believe it's the one that I know, is like the spokesman or whatever when he speaks publicly or when he talks. Oh, there's a cardinal, man, a pretty cardinal. Look at that, beautiful. Oh, he lived. Dang, that was a big one, dude. Beautiful cardinal. Anyway, I believe when he has something he wants to say publicly or worldwide, or a book he wants to release or a movie or something like that, I think he uses this guy. Because some of the books that I know for a fact he wrote was released or published by this guy.
Why did Jesus ask the Father why he forsook him on the cross? Jesus.
Hey, he ain't gonna give you no time to answer, is he? Why? He was bearing the sin of the entire world, and some dances must be done alone. In that moment, he was under the weight of it all. I don't want to see what you had to say. I mean, I wouldn't even go about trying to say why, because I wasn't him or there. I don't know. I'm curious what you had to say. There's many ways I could imagine was why, but I wouldn't put words in his mouth, so I don't know. There's lots of ideas I have, but I wouldn't say. I don't know for sure.
Obviously knew what he was doing and why he was doing it. Is it a translation thing or is it something more esoteric?
Yeah, I think it's a genuine expression of feeling God has forsaken him. I would just say this generally before we want to jump into some things that I think are helpful here. To affirm the humanity of Jesus, to deny his deity here any more than when he doesn't know what day or hour he's going to return. So in a nutshell, and a section from an important book about the crucifixion. It's called The Death of the Messiah. It's by a famous New Testament scholar, Father Raymond Brown. He was a Catholic scholar, but his specialization was the Gospels. One of the major works on, just like the title says, the death of the Messiah. But in a nutshell, Jesus knows why he's doing what he's doing, to defeat the powers of darkness, and the solution for the fact that we have to overcome death and the Lord of the dead and all this sort of stuff. He knows Psalms that are going to be read in hindsight about resurrection. He knows all this stuff, okay? But yet, human thing for him to feel left alone and in despair. He prays in Gethsemane, if it's possible, please, take this cup from me, and but it turns out it's not. And so when he has to bear the sins of the world, and God doesn't intervene and do it a different way, I think this is a genuine expression of despair. Jesus is human. He's not just God. He is God, but he's also human.
I agree. That's what I would have said as well.
And this is one of those things where I think we just need to take it at face value and not try to dress it up and pretend it isn't there anymore, like I said a few minutes ago about Jesus not knowing the precise day or hour that he's going to return. The humanity of Christ shows in different passages in different ways. I think here, I like the way Brown discusses this. I think he does a nice job of capturing this idea. He says, and this is from The Death of the Messiah, pages 1048 and 1040. This is a massive book. He says, a particular eschatological aspect is the final battle with evil. In language Isaiah 11:4, according to 2 Thessalonians 2:8, the Lord Jesus slays the lawless one with the breath, or the spirit, the pneuma of his mouth. In Acts 8:7, we have this idea of Bo'an, or phone megale, this great sound to describe the shriek of unclean spirits as in defeat when they come out of the possessed. So he's comparing this language to the language of Jesus' anguish, when he cries out. Does the violent description of Jesus' outcry, this is Brown now, suggest that in his death struggle with evil, he feels himself on the brink of defeat, so that he must ask why God is not helping him? In any good drama, the last words of the main character are especially significant. It is important for us then to ask how literally we should take, my God, for what reason have you forsaken me? Again, quoting from Psalm 22, verse 2. Brown says, there is much to encourage us to take it very literally on the level of the evangelist's portrayal of Jesus. In the tragic drama of Mark and Matthew in the Passion narrative, Jesus has been abandoned by his disciples and mocked by all who have come to the cross. Darkness has covered the earth. There is nothing that shows God acting on Jesus' side. How appropriate that Jesus feel forsaken. His why, the question, is that of someone who has plumbed the depths of the abyss and feels enveloped by the power of darkness. Jesus is not questioning the existence of God or the power of God to do something about what is happening. He is questioning the silence of the one whom he calls my God. If we pay attention to the overall structure of Mark and Matthew in the Passion narrative, that form of addressing the deity is itself significant. For nowhere previously has Jesus ever prayed to God as God. Mark and Matthew begin the Passion narrative with a prayer in which the deity was addressed by Jesus as Father, the common form of address used by Jesus, and one that captured his familial confidence that God would not make the Son go through the hour or to drink the cup. Yet that filial prayer, reiterated 3 times, was not visibly or audibly answered. And now, having endured the seemingly endless agony of the hour, and having drunk the dregs of the cup, Jesus screams out a final prayer that is an inclusion with the first prayer. Feeling forsaken as if he were not being heard, he no longer presumes to speak intimately to the all-powerful as Father, but employs the address common to all human beings, my God. Brown continues, I'll give you a little bit more of an excerpt here. On theological grounds, some challenge more directly a literal interpretation of Mark and Matthew. The charge is made that to take literally the wording about God forsaking or abandoning Jesus would be to deny Jesus' divinity. Certainly, Mark did not imply such a denial, for immediately after Jesus' prayer in 1534, we find the climactic confession of Jesus as God's Son. That's Mark 15:39. Still another objection finds despair being attributed to Jesus in a literal interpretation of the prayer. Despair, understood as the loss of hope in God or of salvation, is considered a major sin. And the New Testament affirms that Jesus committed no sin. This is a rather pointless objection, however, for nothing in the Markan passage suggests a sense of the loss of salvation or forgiveness or even the need thereof. Jesus is praying, and so he cannot have lost hope. In other words, if he'd lost hope, why would he pray? Calling God my God implies trust. Because he saw how Jesus died, the Markan centurion confesses that Jesus was God's Son. Mark could not have meant that Jesus' despair prompted such a recognition. Thus, despair in the strict sense is not envisaged. Rather, the issue is whether the struggle with evil will lead to victory. And Jesus is portrayed as profoundly discouraged at the end of his long battle because God, to whom Jesus committed himself at the beginning of the Passion, has not intervened in the struggle and seemingly has left Jesus unsupported. That this is not true will become apparent the second that Jesus dies. For then God will rend the sanctuary veil and bring a pagan, again the centurion, to acknowledge publicly Jesus' divine sonship. Jesus cries out, hoping that God will break through the alienation he has felt. I'll just stop there with Brown. I think that's really a good description that honors the transparent reading of the text and lets it be what it is. It's a human expression, that we've gone through this whole battle and like God isn't intervening, but there are ways to read it and ways to not read it. And Brown goes through the ways to not read it and gives examples from the same passages that contradict flawed conclusions about how we should read this. Again, in that section I just gave you, that's exactly what Brown does. So he's saying there are ways to read this and ways not to read it. And you don't read it certain ways because if you read the whole passage and the things that immediately follow, you'll find out how you're not supposed to read it, how you're not supposed to regard Jesus' despair. But nevertheless, he leaves it in place. He doesn't try to pretend it's not real.
I agree with that.
What if getting traumatized is a good thing? What if you needed more trauma in your life? What if the only thing that made you interesting was how much you were traumatized? And what if those who are trying to save you from trauma weren't actually your friends, but secretly evil and trying to turn you into a soft, flabby blob with no brain or character that they can themselves control? When you are soft and afraid of trauma, they can keep you hidden inside your room and they can suckle off you all sorts of extortionate schemes in order to get finances, your energy, your power, and your life force. So let's talk about breaking out of that matrix by going and baptizing ourselves in the fire of the world of trauma.
I love this guy.
Trauma is a good thing. Do you understand?
Yes.
You want to be traumatized as much as you possibly can in your life. You don't want to avoid trauma. That's the worst and stupidest thing you can do. The psychologists, the book copers, they will tell.
Finally, someone that gets it. Yeah. I don't like when people try to traumatize me, but I go out of my way every day to traumatize myself.
You run into my books, come into my magic labyrinth of jargon instead of going and experiencing trauma. And of course, you think that's a good thing. Who would want to experience trauma? But actually, in reality, that is the worst thing you could possibly do. That is the single greatest evil you could ever possibly experience. You must always, always go towards trauma instead of away from it. Trauma is the way forward. Trauma is the most important thing that you have. It is your sacred birthright. You need to get traumatized. You want to get traumatized more. To give you an example, a grug example, not some type of theoretical book cope example, but an actual down-to-earth grug mode caveman example. Think about the gym. How does the gym work? What do you do in the gym? You go into the gym, you pick up heavy things, and you move them around space. And what happens is they stretch your muscles. Your muscles have to hold up against this resistance. And these muscles, they get micro-traumatized. Your muscles get torn, ripped apart as they try to manage the heavy weights because you stress them so much. You traumatize your muscles. And what does life do in response to this trauma? What does it do? It heals the muscles and makes them more juicy. Through trauma, you stimulate the life instincts within you. You stimulate the body. You stimulate the gods living within you, the wisdom living within your body through trauma. And this causes your body to fill out, to become juicier, to become better, become bigger, stronger, and faster, more handsome, more sexy, more elite, more juicy, more tyrannical, more Terminator mode. This is exactly what you want. You want to be traumatized, and life wants you to traumatize it. And then when you traumatize life, it stands up, grows stronger, and becomes more beautiful. Trauma is a good thing. Trauma is what you're looking for. Now, what is interesting is that these psychologists of ours tell us that we suffer because we are traumatized. We suffer because there's something holding us down. There's something inside of us that is causing some type of problem. We're getting imprisoned by the trauma. There's some type of demon living within our nervous system that is holding us back from launching ourselves up into bliss and happiness and truth and beauty. There's this thing holding us back from letting go of all these heavy feelings that are holding us down and allowing us to float up into a life and a world where everything is light, everything is free, and there is no heaviness, and there is no trauma, and there is no pain, and there is no struggle. It's liberation, nirvana, this abstract place that we're going to achieve. And of course, the proposition among these psychologists, these preachers of equality, these nogginists, is that, well, what you got to do is you got to go in this big, complicated Pokemon Go scenario. You got to go through this filing cabinet of concepts, and you've got to individuate and rearrange all the archetypes in your mind. And it's like a puzzle. It's like a puzzle inside your head. If you just go into your mind and you get the correct concepts, you put the concepts together inside your head and click them all into shape, and it's like you're figuring out a Rubik's Cube within your brain, then what's going to happen is suddenly you'll snap the Rubik's Cube into place, and then it's just all this trauma will end. The world's trauma will no longer affect you. Pain will end. Suffering will end. Everything will become perfect. Happiness will just descend down within you and awaken like some type of spiritual experience, and that's all it is. And this is just the riddle that's going on. And of course, none of them have ever got it, and you don't see anybody who they're working with ever achieving this. But this is the promise. This is the suggestion. Oh, this can happen. This will happen. This is what's coming down. But see, the problem is that they don't understand that the thing that they're trying to get out of you, purge out of you in order to achieve this trauma that they're trying to escape from. They don't understand that, of course, this thing that they're trying to purge you from, trying to drag you away from, they don't understand that that is fundamentally where you need to go, because trauma is a good thing. And you see, the mistake they make is they promise a perfection, a liberation, a perfect way of living inside the noggin, inside the conceptual realm. They promise this thing that sounds really, really beautiful and nice, but they can't ever deliver it. But what is fascinating about this is that if they actually went down and studied the realm of the body, studied the philosophical realm of the body where life happens within the body, not the philosophical realm of the intellect where they're conceptualizing and solving Rubik's Cubes and whatnot, but actually the physiological reality of the body and studied the principles and the philosophy of the body that actually spoke and told you what it wanted, they would learn quite quickly how you get towards perfection, how you perfect yourself, how do you individuate, how you idealize yourself. And of course, the first thing you'd see is that reality from the gym, that when you traumatize the body, when you punish the body, push the body down, bully the body, cause pain upon the body, and then of course correctly rest the body and take care of it, as long as you work correctly with the laws and principles of the body, the yin and the yang of the body, and you damage all those muscles and allow them to heal properly, what will happen is that the trauma, if you systematically traumatize yourself over an extended period of time, operating on the correct principles, damaging the body so that the body wakes up to the challenge and says, I want to grow and become strong, so I am overcoming trauma, you will see that the body will reward you by making you fill out, making you look more perfect, making you look more ideal. Perfection is attained through the correct perspective. You actually go and you lift these weights, you traumatize this body of yours, you traumatize this felt experience of yours, you traumatize this nervous system and these muscles, and your body will form into the Vitruvian man. It will become more perfect, more ideal. Your shoulders will get bigger, your chest will get bigger, your glutes will get bigger, your posture will get bigger, your endorphins will start to release, your chemistry will get correct, your testosterone will go up, and suddenly you'll actually start feeling healthier, you'll start feeling happier, your head will be clearer, you will think clearer, you will look better, people will be more attracted to you. The life will reward you with happiness from doing the right things according to her philosophy, not the philosophy that you invented in this Rubik's Cube inside your mind. No, not there. That's not going to make you happy. That's going to make you confused. That's going to make you annoying to talk to. That's going to make you annoying to sit down and have lunch with or something like that. This is not what's going to save you. The philosophy of the body, the way that the body organizes life and the principles it follows, this will release unto you actual happiness, and it will deliver very, very quickly if you can only discipline yourself to pay attention to it. But the problem is you don't want to, because one of the main laws and philosophies and principles of the body is that trauma is a good thing and you need trauma. Now, of course, despite all this, you're probably still going to ignore it. You're going to be like, you know what, Steph, I fucking like my Rubik's Cube in my head. I like my Rubik's Cube. You can go screw off. I don't want to have to listen to you at all, all right? I want to keep going with my Rubik's Cube. I want to keep being wrong. I like being wrong. It's fine. Wrong's fun. I'm smoking loads of spliff.
I love him. I love him. He's so straightforward. You know what I'm saying? I love that. Of course, when he speaks like that, he's not always going to be right, but he's speaking to his audience. He knows who his audience is, and he's speaking straight to them. And he wastes no time. He spares them. You know what I'm saying? He spares none of their feelings. He's moving so fast. He's like, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't even pause to let you absorb the blow. He's like, go. I love it, man. He's just very forward.
Bongs and being wrong all the time. That's awesome. Leave me alone. Oh, so why are you watching my videos then? Like, what are you doing? So, like, yeah, just leave me alone, Steph. What's going on? Well, listen, all right? Just because you ignore the reality, you ignore these philosophical first principles, doesn't mean that's some type of innocent little mistake you're making. Just doesn't mean you can't just be wrong and think that like that's okay. It's like, oh, it's just a difference of opinion. Learn to agree to disagree. No, you're wrong and I am right. And it's the same with the body and the same with life. Life is correct. Life is right. Life is not wrong. Life's not making mistakes. The reason why we're here is because life is correct and life knows what it's doing. The instincts know what they're doing. The body knows what it's doing. If you don't feed your body properly, you'll get unhealthy and then you'll die. That's not exactly about being right or wrong. That's just about simply being wrong. It's not our differences of opinion. It's a blunt reality, all right? So this is really important to remember. Now, most importantly of all is that the whole idea of perfection and idealism, you know, you want to get lost in the complicated realm of jargon and organizing the librarian within your mind and the Rubik's Cube thinking and playing Pokemon Go with archetypes. Yeah, you want to do that. You want to go up here and do all this type of stuff and run around and jizzle jazzle around. But if you're wrong, if you're not paying attention to the reality that trauma is a good thing, if you're avoiding all this type of stuff, if you're not going in and pressuring your body, pressuring your mind, and putting these forces of change upon yourself, carving yourself into a diamond, if you're not traumatizing yourself systematically and extensively in order to make yourself juicy, if you're not doing this correctly and putting yourself under pressure and becoming disciplined, you will go perfect. You will actually go the opposite. You will start to denigrate. You will start to fall into something unideal. Life will begin to lift herself out of you. You will lose favor. You will go flabby. Things will go soft. The forms around you will break down. Your health, your mind will get crumbly. All the chemicals within your body won't be running properly. And what this will start to do is this will actually start to affect your ability to be a Rubik's Cube person. Because as you're up there in your head, operating this Rubik's Cube, dancing around in your abstracted, rational left hemispheric intellect, what will happen is that all the chemicals shooting up into your brain will be in a bad state. All the feelings inside your body will be bad moods and all this type of stuff. You'll be out of shape because you're putting on more fat, because you're storing more fat. Your estrogen levels will go up. Your stress hormone and cortisol levels will go up. Your heart will have to beat harder. You'll be more generally stressed. And what will happen is the tone and the mood of your thinking will become more sour and more unhappy. And then what will happen is that the state of your strange jargonizing, your puzzles and all this type of stuff, they'll get more, you could say, tragic and desperate. They might even get a bit like a bit sad or something like this, or a bit kind of pessimistic, or a bit black-pilled, or a bit down and out, or a bit mopey or something like this. And you might even start to find elaborate escapisms. You start to convince yourself that, oh, well, all this pain will go away if I just solve the Rubik's Cube, or maybe I'll take some chemicals that will help put away the problem. You know, here's a very interesting one. In order to get out of the way, to allow the mind to just keep jargonizing and keep solving Rubik's Cubes, we take chemicals that just make the body go dull, and so you can't feel any more pain. We start taking opioids, we start drinking alcohol, we start taking SSRIs, we start taking anything that helps dull the pain and get us away from these problems that are happening in the body, these nervous systems issues that are happening in the body, these chemical problems that are happening in the body. We replace it with these, abstract ourselves, we liberate ourselves to go and dance and do this Rubik's Cube, thinking that it's some type of solution. But of course, then what happens as well is we start to preach about the glory and perfection of these ideas that we've built up inside our Rubik's Cube mind, as if that's some type of solution, as if that's some type of problem that we've got wrapped up. But the problem is that it's all wrong on first principle. It missed out on that very early first principle, that one where you go back down into the body and listen to the body and pay attention to it and realize that, oh my God, I can't believe it. Trauma is a good thing. The person who systematically traumatizes their body is the person who will get closer to the ideal of the gods, the person who will get closer to perfection, the person who will get closer to a perfect body. It's through trauma that you reach perfection. That is the path. It is not by shedding trauma, but by reaching it. Similarly, the person who systematically traumatizes themselves in the most comprehensive way is the person who individuates. It is the person who can overcome the most amount of trauma and face the most amount of trauma and deal with the most amount of trauma who individuates, and not everybody gets to individuate. This is very, very important. Something that is not often discussed. You see, individuation, the ability to even think about what this is, it's a very complicated question. But of course, you can't answer that because we all try to abstract it. We think that individuating is playing some type of video game with archetypes where we're running around playing Pokemon Go with all this. But the reality is that your individuation, your feeling of completeness within your mind is predicated on life making decisions for you. Again, it's this secret philosophy of life, this hidden philosophy that lives inside your body. On a very foundational level, the most secret and basic form of individuating or achieving some type of goal is life wants you to procreate. Life wants you to make babies. This is because life's playing a trick on you. She's filling you full of urges for girls and pretty girls so that you create a child for her so that she can get her rigmarole going where she's in this combat against time. She's playing this little puppeteer trick upon you. Now, life gives you more instincts, a more complex compendium of instincts that she wants you to fulfill. For example, you have this urge in your chest to create community and friendship and bonding so that you have this big, strong network and this big, strong tribe of people who love and respect you. And then, of course, she gives you, similar enough, life gives you visions and dreams so that you have this dream of making a kingdom, this dream of making reality and making art and whatnot. And all these type of things in a very foundational level serve life because, for example, if you follow your dreams and become a powerful, wealthy person, who's able to manifest your reality and build a kingdom around you, you become a very, very useful asset for life to prosecute her goals of beating entropy. You can do incredible things. You can make an 1,000-year Roman Empire, which will last for millennia, and then life will be very safe operating through you. So life uses all of your instincts in order to prosecute her goals. And of course, your feeling of individuating, this is exactly where you feel them. Your feeling of getting the anima and getting a wife and all this type of stuff is simply life trying to use you in order for you to gain the boons of procreation. Life trying to get you to manifest art or something. That is the similar thing. She's trying to get you to manifest out and create out of yourself. Through you, she's using you to create something beautiful and motivating and powerful, so that you create a vision of something beautiful that people can build around. For example, like a political kingdom or something like this. Your urge for a tribe and a family. All these things, they all fall in alignment of life. Life is the sacred pressure here. And we already know from looking at the gym that life responds to challenge. Life wants to be traumatized. Life wants to be bullied. Life wants strength. Life loves strength. What she sees as beautiful, what life teaches you and makes you feel as beautiful in your body, is something that is strong. The most perfect version of a human being is a human being that is strong. All the Greek statues are strong. They look beautiful. They are excellent figures. They are strong figures. And they all look fantastic and beautiful in this type of way. Now, of course, the person who individuates, the person who most rises up through all the instincts and manifests the most comprehensive and profound vision of a reality that you could possibly imagine, this person is fundamentally the person who can handle the most trauma and overcome the most obstacles. Because you see, life has kind of put you in a little bit of an unfair game. Life has put you in a game where you're destined to get traumatized and you're destined to not be able to individuate. Most things don't get to individuate. Most things don't get to become perfect. Most things don't get to become beautiful. For example, for you to become beautiful in your body and lift weights and become a perfect Greek god type figure, in order for you to achieve this, you have to kill animals and eat them. You have to take an animal's life.
We're going to complete that. But right now we're going to start taking the test. We're going to start with him. We'll take that animal's life. He's on to something. I agree with him.
I just got 19,000.
That went really good. Thank you, Creator.
I can't get no sleep.
style. That girl though on the cover of it looks like Waya. My friend Wolf looks like her. Whoever it is putting these cool like playlists and interesting titles and ambient stuff like what I've requested popping up on my feed. I really appreciate that. I don't assume it's AI. I have friends I believe that are helping me, but I really appreciate it. I'll be bitching and get negative sometimes and stuff, and I just tell you how I feel, and I'm really seeing my feed like it's reacting, and I'm sorry for being like that because somebody is really doing what I asked. I appreciate that. I would play Tool. It shows me invincible, but I'm afraid they'll cut it. Not afraid, but they're just so popular. I keep seeing all this stuff about like abandoned temples and stuff like that. It's cool names, but truth be told, what I'm saying? It's just speaking personally. I never had anybody in my life to abandon me. Seriously. Cool names, so you know what I mean? There was never anybody here to begin with. Not for any length of time, and they never had to stay for any length of time.
so special.
It's moving slow. I'm trying to find something that hits the spot.
The rich kid, not in your no more.
I'm fitting to go. He's moving slow. Reach y'all up later. God bless you in the name of the Most High Almighty God.